or the RA 1425 as the introductory part of this course. Today, we'll be analyzing, we'll be describing, we will be uh, mag-throwback tayo sa nakaraan, specifically in 19th century. When we say 19th century, it is about 1800s. Ganun kasi magbilang ng mga century. For example, today, 2024, that means 21st century na tayo. And during 19th century, the Philippines was still a colonized area of, or a colonized country of Spain. And this was the year or the era where nationalism, liberalism began. So before anything else, let us first describe the government hierarchy in 19th century. So meron tayong iba't ibang hierarchy in the government. Of course, we were a colonized territory, and that means that we were headed by the King of Spain. Siya yung pinakamataas. The following was the Council of Indies. The Council of Indies, they were the controllers of Spanish colonies during that time. And eto, maging specific na tayo sa area ng Philippines. Governor General was the highest position in the Philippines during that time. To give you a little detail about the Governor Generals, there are 50 Governor Generals for 333 years na pag-colonize sa atin ng Spain. Ang first Governor General ay si Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. And then that was in the year 1565. The last Governor General was De Los Rios or Diego de los Rios. If I'm not mistaken, Diego de los Rios. And the best, according to some sources, the best Governor General was De La Torre. And the worst was uh, Izquierdo. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Izquierdo ba yun? Rafael Izquierdo. Kasi naka-scare, di ba? Izquierdo, yeah, Izquierdo. Izquierdo. Rafael Izquierdo was the worst because during his time, in nangyari yung execution ng Gomburza at nangyari din yung Cavite Mutiny. So, the following is Alcalde Mayor. The next one is Gobernador Silio. Sila yung namamahala ng mga town or pueblos. Itong Gobernador Silio, guys, they were comparable to the town mayors today. At yung Alcalde Mayor, they were comparable naman with the provincial governor. And of course, Cabeza de Barangay. Cabeza de Barangay, uh, chairman siya ng barangay. Or these people or these leaders control naman the smallest unit of government during that time, which is the barangay. The next one, ay na mag-next. Okay. So other rules in leadership during 19th century was Consejo de Indias or the Council of Indies, which was also in Mexico. Kasi ang Mexico during that time, guys, ay colonized territory din ng Spain. The Spanish Cortes was also had the power to enact law that they would implement in the Philippines. However, take note, my dear people, Philippines had no representative in Spain Cortes before. Why? It is because we were not allowed, or the Filipinos were not allowed to assume a position in the Royal Audiencia or Spanish Cortes. The only position that was allowed during the during 19th century or were allowed kasi dalawang position lang ay Gobernadorcillo at Cabeza de Barangay, the two lowest position in the Philippines during 19th century. We were given the chance to rule these positions, but may certain criteria, di ba? Parang pageant lang, criteria for judging. First and foremost, dapat lalaki lang ang namumuno. Kasi nga, women during that time did not have the voice, did not have the power to hold any position. Kasi women were only allowed to vote in 1937 during the colonization era of Americans. And another one, that that leader, or he must be at 23 years old, educated. Eh, sino lang ba naka-educate nun? Yung mga may pera lang. At may property of 500 pesos. Kasi ang 500 pesos nun is medyo big deal na. Right? So this manifests people that Filipinos during that time were discriminated not just in the society but also in the government. Imagine, we cannot assume any position. We do not have any representative Spanish Cortes, and we can say that this is a manifestation of racial discrimination, if I'm not mistaken, which is very obvious naman. Na sige, sabi ng Spanish Cortes noon that Spanish government noon na yes, you are allowed to assume a position, but the two lowest positions are only allowed na pumasok ang mga Filipinos, which is something fishy. Of course, we have the Royal Audiencia, or the highest court in the country. It was supervised by other courts. But in reality, wala namang equality between Filipino and Spain dito. Why? Because the fact that the Filipinos do not have representative in Spanish Cortes and walang equality na, doon pa lang. That means that this Royal Audiencia is pro-Spanish and not pro-Filipino. And that is the fact, right? So during this time naman, guys, the Philippines were at peak na ng nationalism in 1800s. America and European countries ay patuloy ng tumataas. At ang Spain naman, guys, ay patuloy na bumababa. Spain was experiencing political instability due to successive rise and fall of leaders brought by the conflict between liberals and conservatives. My dear students, you don't have to memorize everything kung sino yung kings and queens during that time. Pero kung makikita nyo dito, from Queen Isabella II to Queen Maria Cristina, di ba? Papalit-palit sila ng leader. That means that if there's a series of changes in leadership, there might be chaos in the government in a certain country. Kasi siyempre, may mga iba't ibang paniniwala or ideals and political principles ang mga leaders. And in this manner, Spain was experiencing political instability. Kasi yung liberals and conservatives, when we say liberals, they are open-minded or they are parang pro-change. Conservatives, they are fundamentalists. That means that they are very traditionalist. They do not want change. They want to preserve the tradition. So this was the rise of liberalization in Spain and in the Philippines, this era. At the same time, ito na yung beginning of downfall of Spain. Diba? Kasi nga, ang superior noon is Spain and Portugal. Kaya nga meron tayong Treaty of Tordesillas na sinasabi. Kasi ang parang pinaghatian ng Spain at Portugal ang mundo noon. Pero in 18th century ay nag-rise na sa superiority ang ibang Western countries such as America. So, ayun. So, this naman guys, makikita natin yung mga pag-invade ng iba't ibang colonizers and pag-invade ng iba't ibang leaders sa country. Diba? Example, si Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte was a great French leader, 'di ba? Kasi na-expand niya ang kanyang territory sa Iberian Peninsula, including the Spain. Kasi ang Spain noon, kinalaban nila si Bonaparte from 1808 to 1812. Imagine the what we call this? This was one of the era or one of the time or one of the situations where Spain fought against the great Napoleon Bonaparte, isang French revolutionist, isang French leader. Okay. So we have here in 1835, you don't have to memorize everything about this. What I'm trying to say is that in 1800s, ang daming nangyari sa Philippines at Spain. Law passed that legalized the confiscation of the properties of the church by the government and the abolition of religious orders in Spain, except the religious order in the colonies like the Philippines. During this time in 1835, except the Philippines, of course, exception, humina na ang Catholic Church. Ang church, kasi nga may mga confiscation na ng mga properties ng church by the government. So na-abolish na yung mga religious orders in the different territories or colonies of Spain, except the Philippines, di ba? In 1844, the moderate liberal and conservative succeeded overthrow the government and put Isabel II to the throne, and upon the gaining of the conservatives' power and influence, the parliament they worked for the new constitution of Spain. The new laws passed by the government of Queen Isabella resurrected religious order. They introduced a new method of taxation and helped the government to gain their stability. Yes, Queen Isabella II, guys, is the queen of stability. Why? She put the Spain again in the map. Kasi nga meron ng liberals and conservatives sa succession noon na parang nagkakagulo na and everything. That's why Queen Isabella ay nag-pass ng law at sabi niya, I'm a conservative and I have to resurrect the religious order. And in that manner, nagkaroon ng panibagong method of taxation and it helped the government gain their stability once. So, in 19th century, there was a rise of different groups. And these are the following. The first one, Ilustrados. Bakit Ilustrados? Ang ating inuuna. Ilustrados were part Ilustrados, guys, were the enlightened ones. And Jose Rizal was part of this. They got the chance to study abroad, particularly in Europe, and they came back to the Philippines being a professional, and they introduced reform chosen by King Carlos III. And according to them, education could attain reform. And a very good example of this is our national hero, the Three Triumvirate, okay, Jose Rizal, Del Pilar, and of course, sino pa yung isa? Jaime. The second one is Progresitas. Progresitas naman, guys, ayaw nila ng monarchy. Freemanson sila. They believe that the hindrance of development was absolutism of monarchy. Na ayaw nila ng traditional. Progress. They want progress in a way that they want to adopt change. They want changes in the government. They do not want monarchy, which was the opposite of Carlitas. Carlitas, my people, are the people, they believe that they should follow tradition. They want monarchy, they want church, they want everything na with the connection of absolutism of monarchy. So these are the different groups. In 19th century, we have the timeline here for the situation in the Philippines. Take note, my dear students, that in 1820, the Philippines opened its gateway to world trade. And fact lang that the first world trade happened in the Philippines. And that was Manila, Acapulco in 1869. In 1834 naman, Spain had adopted 4 constitutions, elected 28 parliaments, and installed no less than 529 ministers from 1835 to 1897. And as I was mentioning a while ago, the Philippines was ruled by 50 governor-general from the Legazpi to the Los Rios. In 1855 naman, Suwal in Pampanga and in other parts of the world, other parts of the country were open for the world trade. In 1865, Cebu became an open port for trading. And in 1869, Manila was the first place where world trade happened. At yung pangmalawakang world trade, the bonggang-bonggang world trade na nangyari noong 1869. And that was the Manila-Acapulco World Trade. What was a significant part in this World Trade? Nangyari tong World Trade na to at nagkaroon po ng connection between Europe and the Philippines and the other part of the world, particularly Europe and Asia. Ang ganda na ng connection noon, palitan ng produkto. At the same time, this marked the new beginnings of the Philippines in terms of trading system. And we have also the social stratification in the Philippines. In the Philippines, we were stratified into four, actually five though, into five different social status or stratification. The first one is peninsulares. When we say peninsulares, they were the Spaniards who were born in Spain, settled in the country, and they are the full-blooded Spanish na nagkaroon ng posisyon in the society and in the government. Full-blooded na na pinanganak sa Spain, Peninsulares. Ang Insulares naman class, they were born in the Philippines but they are full-blooded Espanyoles. Diba? The next one is Creoles, where Rizal was part of this, and the Gomburza and other Filipinos who sought to reform the society during Spanish colonization. And in Principalia, these are the landowners and the lowest class, the natives or the Indios naman, ang pinakamababa. So, Indios were alipin na sinasabi ng mga Spaniards noon. So, tandaan nyo lang, Peninsulares, Insulares, Creoles, Principalia, Indio. And of course, we developed our economy during that time, di ba? In 19th century, the wealthy Filipinos had the chance to engage in international trade. At the same time, the business were opened in line with agriculture. And the opening of Suez Canal was also one of the significant and impactful event in the world where the at 85 above. You, sir. Okay, sorry for the disturbance sa office. Yeah. But Suez Canal was opened during this time in 19th century. At nagkaroon ng development in agriculture, nagkaroon ng development in international trade, at natuto ang mga Pilipino na makipaghalubilo sa ibang lahi. At this moment, at this very moment, natuto din ang mga enlightened ones or those who are interested in education to go abroad and to seek greener pasture in terms of education. At doon na po nagkaroon ng mga ilustrados. 'Di ba? Itong trading system na to, this was very important event. This is a very important event in the Philippine history. And thanks to the opening of the Philippines, particularly the Manila-Acapulco World Trade, the Cebu port was also opened in 1865. And this situation or these events led to the development of our economy. And also, nationalism was open. The love for country or the sentiment of a person towards his country was open. Or the civic consciousness of the Filipinos during 19th century, 1800s were open. Why? First and foremost, in January 20, 1871, the Philippines had its very significant historical event, the Cavite Mutiny. Diba? Bakit ba nagkaroon ng Cavite Mutiny? Natanggal ang mga pribilehiyo ng mga manggagawa sa mga Cavites. Particularly sa mga, what we call this, yung paggawa ng mga armas. Natanggal yung pribilehiyo nila. And in this way, this was the event na pinabulaanan or yung parang binaliktad ni Rafael Izquierdo. And after a month, pinatay ang Gomburza sa pamagitan ng garrote. Imagine, my dear students, garrote ang ginamit nila. And for the three martyr, please. 'Di ba? Ba't ba sila pinatay? Ano ba yung reason behind that? First and foremost, they were accused that they led the Cavite Mutiny. The Cavite Mutiny was a total failure. There were 200 plus people na nag-join sa Cavite Mutiny, and yun ay isang failure because of misunderstanding between two parties. Yung mga nasa Manila at nasa Cavite. 'Di ba? Yung mga nasa Manila, particularly in Sampaloc, I think, nagkakaroon sila ng feast doon ng isang santo. I think Saint Lourdes, if I'm not mistaken. Nagkaroon sila ng piyesta doon at nagpaputok sila ng fireworks. Sa mga taga Cavite naman, akala nila yun yung symbol na dapat mag-start na ang mutiny. Pero mali, di ba? It's because wala pang cellphone noon. Kung may cellphone lang noon, go na, gano'n, di ba? Instant lang. Mahirap lang naman. It was a total mess. And Izquierdo was a BS. He was an ass. He was the pain of an ass, pain of the ass of the people during that time. Izquierdo. After a month, in February 17, 1871, the three martyr priests were executed through garrote. At sabi ng mga Pilipino noon, ay, shucks, kaya palang pumatay ng mga hayop ng Espanyol para lang sa kapangyarihan, di ba? Para lang malinis ang kanilang pangalan, which opened the civic consciousness of the people to revolution, to have, to want revolution, to want to achieve reform in the Philippines. So nationalism was also a big part in 19th century. Ay naman next. Ayan. Ito nga yung sabi ko kanina. Maria de la Torre was a liberal mind. He was the best among the best Governor General kasi pinapakinggan niya ang boses ng mga taong bayan, which is a manifestation or a symbol of a good Governor General. The issue of secularization. What is secularization? When we say secularization in layman's term, people, ito lang naman yung pag-Philippinization ng Catholic Church in the Philippines. They want na ma-appoint ang mga Filipino priests, and this decision of the Archbishop was supported by Governor General Anda. And this was the real reason behind the execution of Gomburza. Gomburza wanted secularization at ginamit lang ng mga hayop na Espanyol noon ang event na Cavite Mutiny para i-accuse nila ang Gomburza na sila ang nag-lead ng Cavite Mutiny. So noon pa lamang, my dear students, my dear people of peace, may mga kasuksay, ay may racial discrimination na, may discrimination between the people of the Filipino people. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, Rafael de Izquierdo canceled the benefits enjoyed by Filipino soldiers. And the execution of Gomburza was also part of the nationalism, kung bakit nagkaroon ng nationalism. And of course, the implementation of different unjust policies, such as polo y servicio or the forced labor, that every Filipino male ages 16 to 60 years old were obliged to work for government for 40 days every year. And encomienda, ito yung the land of the natives was confiscated and it was given to the Spaniards. Of course, hacienda owned by the friars was also one of this unjust policy during this time. And bandula or bandala, compulsory sale of products to native of the Spaniards. Tributo, tax obligation to the government in money or in kind. The difference between bandala at tributo, ang tributo class ay tax, ang bandala, VAT, value added tax sa isang product. Or ang bandala, it has something to do more with the product. Ang tributo, ito yung compulsory obligation ng tao na magbigay in money or in kind. So these were the unjust policies. Another unjust policy were the maladministration justice, of course, racial discrimination, the lack of representative of Filipino and Spanish Cortes. And Spanish court was ruled by Spaniards lang noon. Eh dapat merong kahit naman isang Pilipino lang, di ba? Para naman makahelp sa pag-decide. So my dear students, this ends our discussion for today. And I hope you learned something about the 19th century Philippines in the 19th century, particularly how we dealt with the situation during that time, the unjust policies, maladministration of Spanish government to the Filipinos. And um, I hope in the later years, we will not be able to achieve this once again. Sana hindi. Kasi this is a total mess, if ever. The good thing about 19th century, my dear students, was that we were able to become liberal-minded, to open our minds to education, to open our minds to trade, and in this manner, na-influensyahan tayo ng other countries, and Ilustrados were there, nationalism was awakened, and that's it. 19th century was a win-win situation on our part. Win-win situation, win or lose situation, win-lose situation. Kasi we achieved independence in 19th century, di ba? At the same time, pahirap sa ating buhay ang 19th century. And that ends our discussion for today, my dear students. Thank you so much for listening once again and have a great, great day ahead. Thank you and goodbye.